There is a sound that should exist, but doesn't. It is the chatter of 1,000,000,000,000 radios, the hum of interstellar engines, the cosmic background noise of civilizations talking, trading, arguing, living across a galaxy that is 13 billion years old. We have listened, and the universe is not nearly quiet. It is silent. Not silent like an empty room, silent like a forest at midnight, where every creature has stopped breathing at once, where the crickets have gone quiet, where something is moving in the dark, and everyone is too afraid to make a sound. Welcome to the dark forest. In the summer of 1950, physicist Enrico Fermi walked out of a lunchroom at Los Alamos National Laboratory, looked up at a pale New Mexico sky, and asked a question that haunts us still. Where is everybody? It wasn't rhetorical. Fermi ran the numbers in his head during that walk. The Milky Way contains roughly 200 to 400 billion stars. Conservative estimates suggest at least 40 billion Earth-sized planets orbiting in habitable zones. Given that our sun is relatively young, billions of years younger than countless other star systems, and given that we went from the first powered flight to the space station in 66 years, the galaxy should be colonized by now. Not just visited, colonized, teeming with evidence. Everywhere we point our telescopes, we should see the infrared waste heat of Dyson spheres, the flicker of artificial transits, the unmistakable narrow-band whispers of intelligent radio sources. Instead, we hear this. This is the Fermi Paradox, the contradiction between high probability of extraterrestrial civilizations and the total absence of evidence. Scientists have proposed solutions for decades. Perhaps we're alone. Perhaps civilizations self-destruct before reaching the stars. Perhaps they upload themselves into digital utopias and lose interest in the physical universe. But there is one solution that is different from the others. It doesn't assume aliens are dead, or disinterested, or too far away to care. It assumes they are hiding, and that we have just made the worst mistake a species can make. The dark forest theory originated not in an academic paper, but in the mind of Chinese science fiction author Liu Cixin in his 2008 novel, The Dark Forest. But don't let its literary origin fool you, because when you strip it down to its mathematical skeleton, it becomes something far more disturbing than fiction. It becomes game theory. Liu Cixin proposed two axioms of what he called cosmic sociology. First, survival is the primary need of civilization. Second, civilizations continuously grow and expand, but the total matter in the universe remains constant. From these two statements, seemingly obvious, almost tautological, emerges a logical trap from which there is apparently no escape. Imagine you are civilization A. You detect civilization B 1,000 light years away. They appear primitive, barely past the agrarian stage, harmless. But here enters the first complication, the chain of suspicion. Because of the speed of light, communication takes a millennium each way. You cannot ask them their intentions. You cannot read their facial expressions or body language. You don't share evolutionary history, biochemistry, or cultural context. You have no idea if they view cooperation as sacred or weakness as sin. Are they benevolent, or do they view every other life form as a potential threat that must be sterilized? You don't know. You can't know. And here's where it gets worse. Because of technological explosion. Humanity took 10,000 years to go from agriculture to industry, 200 years to go from steam engines to nuclear fission, 50 years to go from the first transistor to artificial intelligence. Now imagine civilization B, primitive today, but in 500 years and eye blink in galactic terms, they could have antimatter weapons, self-replicating nanotechnology,
relativistic kill vehicles traveling at 99% the speed of light. By the time your diplomatic envoy arrives, they might be gods. You cannot communicate fast enough to build trust. You cannot observe them close enough to predict their trajectory. You cannot risk letting them survive because survival is their primary need, and the universe has finite resources. What do you do? Game theory calls this a sequential game with incomplete information. It's a variation of the prisoner's dilemma, but played across light years with extinction as the penalty for second place. The payoff matrix is brutal. If you destroy them, you guarantee your own survival and gain access to their resources. If you spare them, you risk annihilation if they turn out to be hostile, or if they simply follow the same logic and decide to destroy you first. There is no benefit to cooperation because verification is impossible. There is only risk. And so, the rational choice is elimination. This is the Dark Forest. Every civilization is an armed hunter stalking through trees. Each knows that the forest contains others. Each knows that survival is victory. And if we'll encounter another hunter, no matter how innocent they appear, no matter if they are infants or angels, you pull the trigger. Not because you are evil, but because if they were compassionate, they wouldn't survive long enough to meet you.
If the Dark Forest is real, the predators are not biological entities in flying saucers. They are something far more efficient. They are berserkers. Named after Fred Saberhagen's science fiction, these are self-replicating probes, von Neumann machines designed for one purpose: seek, verify, destroy. They don't need to carry biological passengers. They don't need to risk their creators. They simply drift through the interstellar medium, dormant for millennia, powered by the cosmic microwave background. When they detect a radio signature, a telltale narrow-band emission that nature cannot produce, they wake, they verify, and they drop a rock. Not a bomb, a rock, an inert mass accelerated to relativistic speeds. Kinetic energy equals half mass times velocity squared. At 50% light speed, a single kilogram of matter hits with the force of 115 megatons of TNT. No defense, no negotiation, just silence restored. Now, let's talk about us. In 1895, Guglielmo Marconi sent the first radio signals. They were weak, chaotic, but they formed a bubble, a sphere of electromagnetic radiation expanding at the speed of light. That bubble is now 130 light years across. It has washed over thousands of stars. In 1974, we made it worse. The Arecibo message, a deliberate high-powered transmission sent toward the M13 globular cluster, 25,000 light-years away, containing our DNA structure, our population, and our exact location in the solar system. We have not just coughed in the forest, we have screamed. The response from some of our own scientists has been panic. Physicist Stephen Hawking warned that advanced aliens would likely be nomads looking to conquer and colonize. In 2015, a group of scientists and philosophers issued the Declaration of Principles concerning activities following detection of extraterrestrial intelligence. It recommends, among other things, no reply to signals without international consultation. But the problem with the Dark Forest theory is that it operates on cosmic timescales. If the Berserker probe detected our 1895 transmissions and it launched from a star system 50 light-years away in 1900, it could be here now. Or, consider this. Perhaps the predators don't even need to receive our signals directly.
Perhaps they simply seed the galaxy with sentinels stationed at every star, waiting for a technological ignition, a flash of artificial light in the spectrum. The technosignature of an industrial civilization is unmistakable. Chlorofluorocarbons, artificial light, transiting megastructures. We are already bright in the infrared. If the hunters exist, they don't need to wait for our invitation. They may already be watching. There is a counter-argument, of course. Anthropologists argue that the dark forest assumes universal game theory, that all intelligences converge on the same mathematics of paranoia. But evolution is chaotic. Perhaps some species evolve beyond aggression. Perhaps curiosity trumps caution. But here's the terrifying asymmetry. You only need one civilization to play by dark forest rules, one species to build the berserkers, one hunter to clear the forest, and in a galaxy with 400 billion stars, one becomes a statistical certainty. The silent civilizations, the ones who survived, are not the ones who sang to the stars. They're the ones who learned to whisper. So what do? Shut down our radio telescopes? Cease all broadcasts? It's probably too late. Our bubble of noise expands irrevocably. But the dark forest offers a chilling explanation for why the SETI program hears nothing. Not because we are alone, not because civilizations are rare, but because the successful ones go dark. They build Matryoshka brains around their stars, capturing 100% of their energy, emitting no waste heat. They hide in the shadows between the stars. They survive by being undetectable. And perhaps someday we will find them, not through radio waves, but through their graves. Dead worlds, scorched planets, the archaeological remnants of those who spoke too soon. We look up at the night sky and see emptiness, beauty, potential. But if the dark forest is true, that emptiness is not indifference. It is fear. It is billions of civilizations holding their breath, hiding their heat, silencing their voices. And somewhere out there, in the impossible dark, something is listening, waiting for the next fool who speaks.